I'll expand on part 1 of the story, mocked until we teamed up with humans, with more detail while maintaining the concise style you requested and using simple Korean names. Here's the expanded first part. Mocked until we teamed up with humans. Best HFY Stories. Part 1. The Ridicule. The detection of human radio signals had been considered a curiosity at best among the Taiyan Science Council. Earth, a small blue planet orbiting an unremarkable star, seemed hardly worth the journey. Yet protocol demanded investigation of any newly discovered intelligent species. When the Taiyan scout ships arrived in Earth orbit in 2145, they expected to find primitive beings barely capable of interplanetary travel. Instead, they discovered humans had already established colonies on Mars and mining operations throughout their asteroid belt. The Taiyans, with their sleek crystalline ships and telepathic communication networks, still considered this rudimentary by their standards. They rely on verbal communication, noted Senior Observer Q with disdain during the first contact briefing. Their minds are completely isolated, no telepathic capability whatsoever. The Galactic Confederation's inclusion protocols required offering membership to any spacefaring species, but the Taiyans granted Earth only probationary status, a diplomatic slight not lost on human representatives. Commander Day stood rigidly before the Taiyan High Command, his silver uniform adorned with combat medallions that glinted under the chamber's crystalline lights. "Your service record is exemplary, Commander," stated High Admiral Sun coldly, "which makes your recent tactical error during the Nexus expedition all the more disappointing." Day's antennae drooped slightly, the only outward sign of his distress. "As disciplinary action, you will command the Indomitable with a mixed crew including a human contingent. This assignment reflects the seriousness of your failure." Whispers rippled through the chamber. Such a posting was considered beneath a commander of Dai's standing, practically a demotion. 2 weeks later, Captain Hana led her team of 12 humans aboard the massive Taiyan vessel. Despite her diplomatic smile, she noted the barely concealed contempt from the Taiyan crew. The humans were assigned cramped quarters near the engineering section, where the ambient noise was highest. During their first ship-wide briefing, Second Officer Min introduced the human contingent with obvious reluctance. "These humans will assist with basic maintenance tasks and observational duties. Their physical limitations and emotional unpredictability make them unsuitable for critical systems operation." Captain Hana stepped forward, her voice steady despite the insult. "My team includes top engineers and tactical specialists. We hope to contribute meaningfully to the Indomitable's mission." A wave of dismissive telepathic communication swept through the Taiyan crew, forgetting or perhaps not caring that humans could sense the collective emotional tenor even if they couldn't read the thoughts. Later in the mess hall, Engineer Tay discovered his access card didn't work for the food synthesizers programmed with human-compatible nutrition. "System malfunction," claimed the Taiyan technician with what passed for a smile in their species. "You'll have to use the emergency rations in your quarters." For 3 months, similar malfunctions plagued the human crew. Their suggestions were ignored during briefings. Their quarters regularly lost environmental controls. Their communication privileges with Earth were mysteriously restricted, yet Captain Hana instructed her team to maintain professionalism. "We represent all of humanity," she reminded them during private meetings. "Every advancement we've made since first contact came through persistence, not confrontation." Commander Day observed the humans with growing curiosity. Despite the treatment they received, they continued performing their duties with unexpected efficiency. When a minor reactor fluctuation occurred, one the Taiyan engineers dismissed as routine, it was Engineer Tay who identified a potential cascade pattern that could have led to serious damage. D had silently implemented the humans' suggestion without acknowledgement. "Perhaps they have some limited utility," he conceded privately to his first officer, who responded with scornful amusement. Neither of them suspected that within weeks, the very qualities they mocked in humans would become their civilization's greatest hope for survival. The stillness of deep space was shattered by urgent alarms, The tie-in defense network had lost contact with another outpost. This was the 5th in 2 weeks. "Play back the final transmission," ordered Admiral Yu at Central Command. The holographic display showed panicked tie-in officers. "They're coming. Through the walls. Weapons aren't working, The feed cut to static. Reports from surviving ships described the attackers as flowing currents of purple energy. They moved through solid matter and shields as if they weren't there. The tie-ins named them Voidwalkers after ancient myths of spirits that walked between worlds. The Tie-in High Council met an emergency session. Their most powerful warships had been destroyed without landing a single effective hit. The Voidwalkers seemed unstoppable. "We must protect our core systems," said High Admiral Sun. "Pull back the fleet to defend critical planets." Far from these important discussions, Commander Day received new orders for the Indomitable. They were to guard a small research station in the outer territories. Everyone knew this assignment was meaningless, keeping the human integrated crew away from real fighting. "We're being sent to stand guard over scientists while real battles happen elsewhere," Day told his officers bitterly. Captain Hana overheard this as she entered the bridge. She said nothing, but noted how the Tayans still underestimated human worth. 3 days later, the Indomitable arrived at Research Station Mira. The small facility orbited a gas giant, studying unusual energy patterns in the planet's atmosphere. "Station Mira, this is Indomitable requesting docking clearance," called Communications Officer Bo. No response came. "Scan for life signs," ordered Commander Day, a feeling of unease growing. "Multiple Tayan life signatures detected," reported Science Officer Min. "But their patterns are erratic. And there's something else. Energy readings unlike anything in our database." The view screen suddenly showed purple lightning dancing across the station's hull. Windows shattered outward, releasing air and debris into space. Among the floating objects were tie-in bodies. "Voidwalkers," whispered First Officer G in horror. Before Day could order retreat, 3 swirling masses of violet energy detached from the station and moved toward the Indomitable at impossible speed. "Raise shields. Prepare main weapons," shouted Day. But the energy beings passed through the shields as if they were nothing. They flowed through the hull itself, entering the ship. Emergency lights flashed as internal sensors detected the intruders spreading throughout the vessel. "They're heading for the bridge," warned Security Chief Tay. When the first Voidwalker phased through the bridge door, the effect on the Taiyan crew was immediate and devastating. As beings evolved with telepathic connections, their minds were completely open to the alien consciousness that now invaded their mental space. One by one, the Tayans collapsed, clutching their heads in agony. Their telepathic network, normally a strength, became a liability, spreading the psychic shock from mind to mind like a virus. Commander Day fought to stay conscious longer than the others. His last sight before blackness took him was Captain Hana still standing, looking confused but unharmed. The humans watched in shock as every Tayan on the bridge fell unconscious within seconds. "What just happened?" asked Navigator Sue, looking at the swirling purple energy that now filled half the bridge. "I don't know," replied Captain Hana. "But we're still conscious while they're not." She moved to check Commander Day's vital signs. "They're alive but completely unresponsive." Communications Officer Bo tried the emergency channel. "This is Indomitable requesting immediate assistance. We are under attack by Voidwalkers. Taiyan crew is incapacitated. Humans still functional. Please advise." Only static answered. The ship shuddered as more Voidwalkers entered through different sections. System failures cascaded across the status displays. "Life support failing on decks 3 through 7, reported Engineer Tay. "Hull integrity compromised in multiple locations. We're losing power to engines." Captain Hana looked around at the small group of humans, the only conscious crew members on a dying ship facing an enemy that had already destroyed the most powerful vessels in the Confederation. "Well," she said with grim determination, "I guess it's up to us now." The bridge of the Indomitable fell into chaos as the Tayan officers collapsed one by one. Only the humans remained standing, watching in confusion as the purple energy beings floated through solid objects like ghosts. Everyone report. Captain Hana's voice cut through the panic. What's your status? Engineering is secure for now, came Engineer Jin's voice over the comm. But most of our Taiyan colleagues are unconscious. Medical is the same, reported Dr. Yun. All Taiyans down, humans unaffected. Hana's mind raced. The Void Walkers had instantly disabled the telepathic Taiyans but completely ignored the humans. Something about this was important. Jin, she called. Why aren't we affected like the Taiyans? There was a pause before Jin's excited voice returned. Captain, I think it's because we don't have telepathic abilities. The Taiyans always mocked our isolated minds as primitive, but right now that isolation is protecting us. Hana looked at the fallen Commander Day. The Taiyans' greatest strength had become their greatest weakness. We need to secure critical systems, Hana ordered. So, take the helm. Bo, stay on communications. I need status reports from all human crew members. As reports came in, they discovered 27 humans were still functional while all 400 Taiyans were unconscious. The Voidwalkers continued moving through the ship, disrupting systems as they passed through sensitive equipment. In engineering, Jin stared at the sensor readings with growing excitement. Captain, I need you down here. I've discovered something about these creatures. When Hana arrived, Jin pointed to his display. Look at these energy patterns. They're using quantum tunneling to move through solid matter. They exist partially in normal space and partially in subspace. Can we use that against them? Hana asked. Jin smiled. Actually, yes. Earth scientists have been studying quantum field manipulation for decades. The Taiyans thought our research was primitive because their telepathy gave them a different approach to physics. He moved to a storage locker and pulled out a bulky device. This is a modified mining tool we brought. For extracting mineral samples, it generates a focused quantum field to separate ore from surrounding rock. Jin worked quickly, adjusting components. If I reverse the field polarity and increase the amplitude, it should force anything caught in the beam to fully materialize, in normal space, like anchoring them to our reality, Hana said, understanding immediately. Exactly, they can't phase through matter if they're fully in our dimension. Within an hour, Jin had modified 6 devices. Teams spread throughout the ship, hunting the Voidwalkers. When Security Officer Lee encountered the first entity, she activated her modified device. The purple energy creature suddenly solidified, becoming more opaque. It struggled, unable to pass through the bulkhead. It's working, she reported excitedly. But I can't hold it forever and it's still dangerous. In the armory, Hana made another discovery. The Taiyans abandoned projectile weapons centuries ago, considering them too crude compared to energy weapons. But we still use them. She distributed the few human sidearms they had brought aboard. These fire actual physical bullets. If Jin's device forces the Voidwalkers fully into our dimension, then physical projectiles should affect them, finished Navigator Sue. The plan worked perfectly. When the next Voidwalker was trapped by Jin's device, Hana fired 3 rounds into its center. The creature dissolved with a high-pitched wail. All teams, confirm tactic is effective, Hana ordered over the comm. One by one, the human teams reported success. The quantum anchors held the Voidwalkers in place long enough for conventional weapons to destroy them. 4 hours after the attack began, the last Voidwalker was eliminated. Emergency systems were restored, and the medical team worked to revive the Taiyan crew. Commander Day woke to find Captain Hana sitting beside his bed. The Voidwalkers? He asked weakly. Eliminated, she replied simply. His antennae twitched in disbelief. How? It turns out our primitive, isolated minds were immune to their psychic attack, and our outdated research into quantum physics provided the solution. Day struggled to process this information. You're saying humans saved my ship? Hana smiled. Not just your ship, Commander. We've discovered their weakness. And I think it's time the Confederation knew that the very qualities they mocked in humans might be exactly what they need to win this war. The Taiyan High Command received the report from the Indomitable with open skepticism. High Admiral Sun read the document twice, her antennae twitching with disbelief. This claims that human crew members defeated the Voidwalkers when our best ships and warriors could not, she said to the gathered officers. Commander Day must be suffering from neural damage. First Minister Lee spoke cautiously, yet the Indomitable survived when no other ship has, and the station data logs confirm the encounter. A fluke, dismissed Admiral Yu. Perhaps these particular Voidwalkers were weaker. We cannot base strategy on this isolated incident. Far from these debates, Commander Day stood outside Captain Hana's quarters on the Indomitable, hesitating before pressing the door signal. Pride warred with necessity in his mind. Hana opened the door, surprised to see the commander. Captain Day began formally, his tall frame rigid with tension. I wish to discuss further your methods for combating the Voidwalkers. Inside her quarters, Day listened as Hana explained the scientific principles behind their success. Though he only understood portions of the quantum theory, one thing became clear. The humans possessed knowledge the Tians had overlooked. Our civilizations took different paths, Hana explained. Your people developed telepathy and energy manipulation. Humans focused on understanding physical particles and quantum mechanics. And your mental isolation? Day asked, touching his temple. The trait we considered most primitive, Hana smiled, became our greatest asset against a psychic attack. Sometimes limitations create unexpected strengths. Day's antennae straightened with sudden inspiration. What if we combined our approaches? Your immunity to the psychic effects with our telepathic coordination? 3 days later, they presented Project Handshake to the Indomitable's crew. Engineer Jin demonstrated a modified neural interface that would allow limited one-way communication from tie-in to human, without exposing humans to the telepathic network that made tie-ins vulnerable. In battle teams, the tie-in officer will sense the Voidwalkers and direct strategy, while the human partner stays mentally isolated, ready to engage if psychic attack occurs, explained Jin. First Officer G objected immediately. This would put humans in command positions during crisis situations. The Confederation Charter forbids non-full members from holding authority over Tians. This isn't about authority, Day replied sharply. It's about survival. The debate raged for hours until Science Officer Min quietly mentioned that 3 more Tian outposts had fallen while they argued. Training began immediately. Pairs of humans and Tians learned to work together in simulators. The neural interfaces allowed Tians to share tactical information without creating the telepathic vulnerability that had proven so devastating. When the first real combat test came a week later, 3 Voidwalkers attacked a supply ship near the Indomitable. The battle teams deployed in small fighters equipped with quantum anchors and physical projectile weapons. The Voidwalkers disabled the Taiyan pilots with their psychic assault, but the human partners took control, trapping and destroying the entities without a single casualty. Video of the engagement was transmitted to Confederation headquarters. High Admiral Sun watched in silence as the human Taiyan teams efficiently eliminated threats that had decimated their fleet. Implement Project Handshake fleet-wide, she ordered at last, her pride clearly wounded but her pragmatism winning out. Begin training immediately. Not everyone accepted the new approach. Senior officers resigned rather than partner with lesser beings. Human representatives demanded full Confederation membership in return for their cooperation. Despite the tensions, the first joint battle group formed within a month. 10 ships, each with mixed crews and specially designed fighters for Voidwalker combat. At the commissioning ceremony, Commander Day and Captain Hana stood side by side on the bridge of the new flagship, Unity. Did you ever imagine this when your team first came aboard the Indomitable? Day asked quietly. That we'd go from being mocked to being essential? Hana smiled. No, but that's often how progress happens. Through crisis comes opportunity. Nodded, watching as human and Taiyan officers worked together throughout the bridge. We still have much to learn from each other. That's what makes a good partnership, Hana replied. Each side brings something the other needs. The massive command ship Unity hung in space, surrounded by 40 vessels of the joint fleet. For 6 months they had hunted Voidwalkers across the outer territories, winning battle after battle using the human tie-in combat teams. But today, they face something far more dangerous. Sensor confirmation, reported Science Officer Min. 537 Voidwalker signatures approaching Nexus Hub. Estimated arrival in 20 minutes. A tense silence fell across the bridge. Nexus Hub was home to over 12 million Taians. If it fell, the heart of the Confederation would be exposed. Admiral Hana studied the tactical display, her once captain's uniform replaced by the gold and silver of Confederation Command. Beside her stood Commander Day, now her chief tactical advisor. All ships, battle formation Delta, Hana ordered. Engage quantum anchor fields on my mark. Throughout the fleet, human tie-in pairs took their positions in specialized fighters. Each craft carried both the quantum anchoring technology and new projectile weapons manufactured with tie-in materials science. Stronger and more accurate than anything humans had created alone. Remember, Day's voice carried across all channels. Humans maintain mental shields while tie-ins provide targeting data. If your tie-in partner becomes incapacitated, humans take full control. The Voidwalkers appeared like a purple storm cloud, larger than any concentration previously encountered. Some tie-in crew members trembled at the sight, remembering the mental agony of past encounters. "Steady," Admiral Hana said calmly. "We've trained for this. We're ready." When the Voidwalkers attacked, they struck with unexpected coordination. They targeted communication arrays first, attempting to isolate ships from one another. "They're learning," Day observed, "adapting to our tactics." "So are we," Hana replied. "Activate secondary communication protocols." The backup system, designed by human engineers, used modulated tachyon bursts that the Voidwalkers couldn't disrupt. The fleet maintained formation, surrounding the energy beings with overlapping fields of quantum anchors. The battle raged for hours. Whenever the Voidwalkers attempted their psychic assault, the human partners took control. Whenever physical attacks came, the Taians' superior reflexes guided their responses. In the command center of Nexus Hub, the Taian High Council watched the battle in stunned silence. High Admiral Sun had opposed the Joint Fleet Initiative from the beginning. Now she watched as human Taian teams accomplished what pure Taian forces never could. "Their effectiveness is undeniable," First Minister Lee said quietly. The turning point came when Engineer Jin, monitoring from the Unity, detected a pattern in the Voidwalkers' movements. "They're not just individual entities," he reported excitedly. "They're connected, like a hive mind with a central coordinator." Admiral Hana immediately understood. "That's why they're vulnerable to telepathic feedback. Commander Day, can you locate their control node?" Day closed his eyes, extending his telepathic senses carefully through the neural interface. "There," he said finally, pointing to a particularly dense cluster of energy signatures. "That's their center." Hana ordered all available fighters to focus on that position. The combined attack of 30 specialized craft overwhelmed the Voidwalkers' defenses. When the control node dissolved under concentrated fire, the remaining entities scattered in disarray, easily picked off by the Joint Fleet. 2 days later, the Confederation Assembly convened an emergency session. High Admiral Sun addressed the gathered representatives. "In recognition of humanity's crucial role in defeating the Voidwalker threat, I hereby propose full membership status for Earth in the Galactic Confederation." Her antennae dipped slightly, a gesture of profound respect in Taian culture. The motion passed unanimously. As the ceremony concluded, Admiral Hana and Commander Day stepped forward to unveil designs for a new ship class, the Harmony vessels, built from the ground up for integrated human tie-in operations. "These ships represent the future of our peoples," Hana told the assembly. "Not as separate species working side by side, but as true partners combining our unique strengths." Later that evening, a young Taian cadet approached Admiral Hana nervously. "Admiral, I'm Cadet Wu. I've just graduated from the academy and I have the opportunity to choose my first assignment." The cadet's antennae quivered with excitement. "I request placement with a human mentor. I believe your species' perspective is essential to my development as an officer." Hana smiled, remembering how just 6 months earlier, such a request would have been unthinkable, even scandalous. Approved, Cadet Wu. Report to Lieutenant Tay in engineering tomorrow morning. As the young Taiyan hurried away, Commander Day joined Hana by the viewport overlooking the fleet. From mockery to mentorship, he observed. We've come a long way. That's the real victory, Hana replied, watching the stars. Not just defeating the Voidwalkers, but learning that our greatest strengths often lie in the very qualities others dismiss.